Hi everyone, I am Yogadharani, working as Assistant Professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at SNS College of Technology. In today's session, we are going to study about a deep recurrent neural network, one of the most powerful architecture used in sequence modeling. In previous classes, we learned about neural networks, feed-forward neural network, and recurrent neural network. Today, we will see how adding multiple recurrent layers can improve learning and help a model understand complex sequential patterns. Here, deep recurrent networks are widely used in speech recognition, machine translation, text generation, and many other AI applications used where understanding long sequence is important. Example, think about listening a long story. To understand the ending, you must remember information from the beginning and middle. Similarly, deep neural networks are designed to remember information over a longer sequence. Here, the transition is before we learn deep RNN, we quickly revise some previous uh, concepts like neural network. A neural network is a computational model inspired by a human brain. It consists of neurons organized into a layer. And then second one is a feed-forward neural network. In feed-forward neural network, information moves only in one direction from input to output. There is no memory. And third one is sequential data. Here sequential data is the data where where orders are matters. Example sentence, speech signals, stock prices, weather records like. And then last one is time dependent learning. Here time dependent learning here many problems require learning relationship over time. The current output depends on previous input. And here the objective of today's class, by the end of the session, you guys are able to understand what is a recurrent neural network, and that is you should know the how RNN processes sequence data using memory, and here you should understand how multiple recurrence layers are stacked, and third one you should know how information from earlier time steps affect future predictions, and then analyze. Here every model has a strength and weaknesses. Here apply you should identify where deep RNNs are used in industry. So consider a speech recognition system. Suppose a person speaks a long sentence. A shallow sequence model may understand nearby words but fail to remember information from much earlier in the sentence. As a result, important context may last, meaning chances prediction becomes incorrect. This is the common problem in sequence learning. Example, sentence like the professor who taught machine learning last semester received an award. To understand who receives the award, the model must remember information from the earlier words. Here problem is shallow models cannot capture a long-term context. In define and empathy part, define deep neural network or recurrent neural networks that contains multiple hidden layers that contain it instead of learning one simple patterns, they can learn complex temporal patterns. Here the problem here is our loss contextual memory, because here reference of important information from early time steps is forgotten, and the next one is incorrect predictions. Missing context result in wrong output. The network cannot understand overall sequence effectively. Here the example is in a language translation, forgetting earlier words or completely changes the meaning of a sentence. Here context is everything in a sequence learning. And here the possible solutions here are feed forward models, that is here process data independently, no memory required, and not suitable for sequences. In single layer RNN, it has memory, but limited learning capacity. And then deep recurrent network, here use multiple recurrent layers, can teach richer presentations. And then gated architecture, here LSTM and GRU, which I told you already. LSTM stands for long short term memory, and GR stands for graded architecture, solves memory problem. And then sequence to sequence modeling, this is used for translation and text generation. So here the efficient solution is deep recurrent networks. It provides better learning through depth and temporal processing. Here many layers allow the model to learn deeper temporal features. So here RNN shows processing sequential data, which means hidden handles data in a specific order. Example text, speech, sensor readings that likewise. And then uses hidden state memory. Here hidden state memory acts like a memory. It stores useful information from a previous input from, where is the cursor, from the previous input, and it shares the weighted over time, that the same parameters are reused at every step. Here advantages are fewer parameters, better generalization and efficient training here. And example here is when reading a sentence, previous words influence understanding of the current word. And then the output, this is the output here. Then why deep recurrent neural network? It capture long-term dependencies. Here, a deep RNN can remember information from far earlier time steps, and then learn hierarchical temporal features or different layers learn different levels of information. Example, layer 1 character, layer 2 words, layer 3 for sentence. And it's improve sequential modeling, means better produce better understanding of sequential relationships. Here, while listening to lecture, your brain understand words, then sentences, then concepts. A deep RNN works similarly. And the next slide shows the architecture of RNN, deep RNN. It has an input layer which receives the sequential data, example words, audio samples, or sensor values, and then multiple recurrent hidden layers. Here, several recurrent layers are stacked here. Recurrent layers are stacked here. Each layer extracts more meaningful features, and then output layer, it produces the output layer, and then temporal corrections, information flows through time. This allows memory retention. Here, depth helps future learning. Recurrency helps memory. And this shows the forward propagation. Here, input time t, that current input enters the network, and then it flows to the hidden state. Then current state combines here current input and previous hidden state, and then goes to the output generation. Predictions is generated here, and the information flows through the time. Knowledge is carried forward to future steps. Example, I love deep learning. Here the input is I love, output learning. The network uses previous words while predicting. And then back propagation through time, it stands BBTT. What is BBTT? It's the training algorithm used for recurrent networks. First point is error propagated across time steps. Here errors are sent backward through the sequences. Then temporal gradients, which means gradients calculate how weights should change, and then weight update. Weight update are adjusted to reduce errors. Then why it is important here, it is without BPT, RNN cannot learn temporal patterns. Here, forward propagation makes predictions, backward propagation improves them. And what are the variants of deep recurrent neural networks are? Deep long short-term memory, it uses memory cells, handles long-term dependence efficiency. And then the deep GRU, it is a similar to then LSTM, and then faster training here, and then bidirectional RNN. Bidirectional processes the sequence in both directions. It uses past and future information, and then staked RNN, multiple recurrent layers stacked vertically, learns more complex features. And this is the optimization techniques of RNN. Techniques like gradient clipping, created units like LSTM and GR regularization and proper initialization are used as a optimization technique. And these are the key characters used in deep recurrent neural networks. This is the mind map of today's class. Thank you. Today we saw about deep recurrent network, and what we learned today is what deep neural networks are, why standard RNN are limited, and architecture of neural network, what is backward propagation, what is back propagation, its variants, its technique likewise. The main strength of deep recurrent networks are ability to capture complex temporal dependencies through multiple recurrent layer. Thank you everyone. Catch you in another video.